Hello everybody, welcome to the very first of many live streams we'll be doing over the next few weeks on this Twitch channel. We are the streaming solutions for any sort of streaming needs really, and this is a brand new series we've created called the Dev Diaries. Essentially what it'll be is every week for the next few months we will be bringing in other university game development teams like the ones before you here, and we get to showcase all the fun, cool projects we've made, everyone's made. And then hopefully you get to then see what it's like to go through the development process, and these guys get to talk about all the fun stuff they get to make. So hopefully it should be very fun for everyone involved. So this is your team game As Right As Rain. Tell me a little bit about first, what was it like coming together, right at the start of this project? What was it like coming from, okay, who are you guys? How do we make a game together?
That was pretty rough. Yeah, our very first meeting in the GA was not great. Our task was just to come up with a general idea, right? Mm-hmm. It was just brainstorming different things we might be able to do. We were spectacularly indecisive. We went through quite a lot of different ideas, but we just couldn't settle on any one of them. Mm-hmm. It was a couple teammates that were quick to find issues with whatever we tried to, give a go. So
what about the other ideas? Was there any fun ones that stood out that you maybe didn't go with?
After about, I think week 2 was when we finally picked our idea.
Yeah.
It had been narrowed down to 3, which were the ones we liked the most. We had a top-down cell, where you could manipulate the tile palette in the world, so you could change tiles, and then you could traverse vertically.
Yeah. The original idea was that it would be a bit like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where you could mess around with your friends and grab them and throw them and stuff, mixed with sort of horror.
It was supposed to invoke every negative emotion.
Yeah, so you'd get incredibly frustrated at your friends and also horrified at what they just threw you into. So the elevator pitch is, it's a multiplayer bullet hell where one of the players is a traditional bullet hell sort of character, and the other player plays as the boss, which controls the bullet hell. And the whole thing has a weather theme, so it's 2 sentient clouds duking it out in the sky, which is sort of wacky, but fairly unique, I think. We tried, when we were doing our sort of original pitch for the whole thing, trying to find some existing market on this, so you could do some market analysis, was quite difficult.
Asymmetric, quite a unique sort of experience.
Yeah. Which obviously is, that's good for selling it, the USPs and whatnot. Yeah, so asymmetric multiplayer was sort of one of the big pillars, as well as bullet hells, and those two kind of haven't been...
And variable gameplay.
Yeah, and yeah, that too.
Just so anyone that's not familiar, it's a bullet hell game.
Oh yeah, so a bullet hell it's generally a top-down sort of shooter, but the sort of main defining feature is that you'll have to fight some boss that shoots a ungodly number of projectiles onto the screen, and the sort of focus of the game is making sure you sort of dodge and weave through this sort of sea of projectiles. So it's sort of quite a high skill game usually. There's a lot of, it attracts a fairly niche, hardcore sort of audience. But we've tried to dial that back a little bit, especially considering it's meant to be multiplayer. Basically.
Once we decided on our game type, we were like, what's a theme we can end up doing? And I think by far the strongest one was weather.
Yeah, Curtis just suggested.
Curtis just went weather, and we was like, okay, that's a really good one. Let's see if we could think of any more of these, and we couldn't.
Yeah, so
we couldn't, so we ended up going with weather.
There it was.
And that ended up leading into something else that we really liked. There were 2 things that really kicked it off, and it was dodging raindrops, and it's raining cats and dogs, and that's really what kicked that idea off. And that's really all I want to say about it.
That's fair.
How did that sort of general, I guess across all aspects, when you come to brainstorm something, whether it's a theme or a game type, how's that been for you as a team to sort of come up with ideas and agree and disagree and work on stuff together?
It was rough in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it was. Really, we were shooting down a lot of ideas. Once we just said, okay, just say ideas, don't shoot them down, just throw out any ideas, and then
Yeah.
we'll go back through them and then see which ones we like. That really helps.
Yeah. It was basically getting to a point where if we didn't have an idea, we'd be pretty significantly behind. So it sort of pressure kind of helped us make a decent decision. And yeah, once we kind of sat and decided we'll try and do this, it might be difficult or weird to design in a couple ways, but if we just give this a go, see if it works. So far, it seems like it's turning out okay. So yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like ideas and such, as humans, you can be very critical. It's very easy to find flaws in anything that isn't your work.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how. I can imagine how easy it was for all of you to go, oh, I don't like your idea. My idea is better.
Yes, there's that, but I also find that you're the most critical of your own work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely important to do so. And I think how has that sort of been for you guys now that you've opened up to it and said, all right, we need to sort of work together and not be as critical of each other? How has it been to sort of support each other and give each other feedback working as a team?
Yes. So once we got past like that first initial idea, and we sort of, I think it was a little bit just a familiarity thing.
Yeah.
So
Give us a breakdown of like how your team is comes from the different disciplines and what they work on.
So we've got.
We started with 4 programmers, 4 designers, 1 animator.
Nothing changed.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
4 designers, 4 programmers, and 1 animator.
Yeah.
That's dropped down to 3 programmers, 4 designers, and 1 animator, but
Yeah.
it's roughly stayed the same.
Yeah.
Um,
So mostly design and programming, and then 1 poor animator. That's
also doing all of our art.
yeah. That's quite a lot of stuff.
It's pretty. I've seen a little bit of it. We may get to see a little bit.
You did some of the concept art.
I've done a little bit of stuff as well. I can do a bit of art.
If we
but,
can take some off the animator, we try.
yeah.
Same with programming. Since we're down a programmer, we try and take up.
Yeah.
The designers try and take up some of the programming as well.
And that's, I suppose, how has that been sort of trying to scope out your project and deciding, all right, this is what we have, this is what we can use, this is what we're capable of doing, that sort of stuff.
So, sort of, figuring out what exactly we can do as a team has been a little bit shaky. Especially, there were some points where it was just like a few of us showing up to the different workshops and stuff. So, having a decent gauge on how much progress we could reasonably make as a team has largely depended on how many of us were actually in the team at the time. So more recently, we've managed to keep a fairly consistent 6 or 7 people turning up, and it's been okay, like figuring out how much we think we can do in 1 sprint or within like a couple days or so.
Yeah, and I suppose how have those sort of sprints been going, and how have you been managing your team each week using like agile methods or whatever?
We've been using an agile method. I'm the main manager of the teams board. We moved into our production management last sprint. We're in our 2nd production sprint at the moment, the middle of it. We completely overscoped the mood board for references to art and anything that we want. We have a brainstorming board, which we haven't used too much, but it's there.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of channels for concept art and our agile stand-ups.
Well, we're having an issue with our communication for this team. There's a lot of not so much documenting.
Right.
And so it's obviously very important if, like you said, sometimes there's not always all of you there. It's important to make sure everyone has.
That's a huge thing actually, is communication is definitely one of the most important things to get down well. And I think for the most part our team's been pretty good, definitely thanks to Ethan. But yeah, doing a big sort of team GitHub thing was a little intimidating, because obviously if you make some changes and someone else makes some changes and they don't line up entirely, then you've got to go in and figure out which parts you want to keep, what you want to change, and so on.
Yeah, it's like which one of you is right.
Yeah, basically.
What you've
It
done.
just relies on communication.
But for one, our communication is pretty good, so we don't have to worry too much about merge conflicts. And for the most part, even when they do happen, they're usually fairly clear which one you can.
Just still got another couple
Don't say
couple
that.
months.
God damn it.
Who knows what could happen? This is week 1 of many.
Yeah.
If we come back in 2 weeks,
So yeah, next.
you might hear about
We had
it.
to restructure our entire company.
It's all gone.
Sorry. Hi guys, how's it? Oh, you're all just gone. At the time.
Oh.
Do you have a few things you could show us?
Yeah, do you
wanna-
Yes.
Yeah.
Load
Do
up
you want to go and take a seat the headphones on. Alright, so what do we got here? What is this?
So this is our boss character,
Yes.
and this is one of the walk cycles that our animator has made. Can't speak too much about this because I didn't make it. None of us here made it, but it has caused a few issues with like setting the right anchors. Yeah, this is our character named Boss. Not in here.
Oh, we could do a quick.
In the pitch, yeah.
There is quite the
yeah,
size
this-
difference between the two.
And we have this, which is not our new raindrop. This was the raindrop that was sent in and then we redid on the fly. So
Yes.
technically, yes. Yeah, the player attack. But this GIF is not the one used in game because it's got a white background and we couldn't use the one with the white background.
I made this thing at home, and me being the intelligent man that I am, completely forgot to either email it to myself, save it to a OneDrive, or bring my laptop in. So
Three methods you had.
lots
Three
of,
back,
lots of different ways I could have
and
brought
probably
it in.
some others as well.
Yeah, honestly, that was pretty stupid of me. So, and this was just before the assessment thing, so it really would have been good to have this in the build while we were showing it off to the lecturers, and all we had was this GIF on Teams, so I kind of had to deconstruct it and then recreate it as a as the raindrop in the game.
I mean, who knows? Maybe
Did
you
it in
could,
about like 10 minutes.
yeah. Maybe you could
Pretty
chuck
good.
that little white background GIF in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Who knows?
That would be
We'll
the
have,
focus.
yeah,
that's the code. That's the code.
You'll find it somewhere.
Alright,
What else do we have?
alright, here is our. This is one of our attacks that I worked on this week. Almost a minute.
Excellent.
So, why don't you run us through what's going on here?
So, this attack is created when the boss hits a certain button. It's supposed to be a bunch of waves of projectiles that are horizontal and that rain down from the top of the screen. But I wanted the boss to have a little bit of control over them, so you can also slightly angle the direction that they come in from. So, when it gets created, it checks, it starts the attack, which is this right here. And it sets the position of it. And then throughout the duration of the attack, it will set its the rotation, which is this right here, based on the boss's aiming direction. But I wanted it so you couldn't come at the player from all directions at once. So I added a maximum amount of deflection, angle deflection that you could do, which is this right here, this right here. So you can only rotate by a certain amount per wave. And then it creates a whole bunch of bullets, which is not the best solution because it's very CPU intensive.
It works.
If it
It
works,
works.
it works. That's the motto, the
Oh, yeah,
programming
yeah.
motto.
And then the way we have
Don't fix it.
the
More or less.
power-ups to spawn is that the boss attacks will spawn in little coins that the player can pick up, and when they pick up enough, that's when they spawn. So this right here attaches a percentage chance for the bullets to spawn to spawn those coins. And then it loops, and once it's done up the loops, it destroys itself. So
You'll
that's that one.
notice. Actually, could you just scroll through real quick? Yeah, you'll notice that there's exactly one comment in this entire script.
I will go through and add comments.
So, yeah.
This
Next
is the
time,
kind
I expect to see that code again with comments.
Yeah,
of,
this one might have more because this is actually a much more important attack.
oh
Nope,
God.
it doesn't.
This is
Okay.
the whole controller.
Yeah.
It's got a couple more.
It's got a couple more. It's got a few.
Okay, so this has been a pretty collaborative script. So this
Yeah,
is the,
that's true.
the main controller for Nimboss.
This is as much Ethan's fault as my own.
And Jesse's also helped with this one.
And Jesse.
Yeah, so this is a pretty collaborative script. So this controls the boss's movement, aim, and attacks. So you're getting a bunch of references at the start. The main thing I can talk about is attacking, because that's what I worked on. So it's adding a bunch of checks to see if, for cooldown management, so you can't spam attacks. Right here. And then in here, it's subscribing and unsubscribing to a bunch of the buttons that when you press. So when you press this button, it will do attack. I'm not going to.
Do attack.
It will do attack, but that's not quite what it's doing yet. It's figuring out which attack it's going to do, and then it performs this horrible conversion.
Oh god.
This is probably the worst function I have ever written.
This makes me genuinely upset. Oh.
Basically, what it's doing is it's taking this string right here, this set of characters. It's taking the final character, and then it's converting that to an integer. And for some reason, when you convert a number to an integer, it doesn't turn it into an integer. It turns it into an integer plus 48.
So for whatever reason.
I can't figure out. It's not the alphabet because the alphabet's 26 letters. So it's not the alphabet.
It's not the alphabet.
So I had to subtract 48. That's why there's a random 48 in here. And then finally, it actually does the attack based on that horrible conversion.
Well, it's all part of the problem solving.
It did solve a problem, but it is so temperamental that if we change something, it might break later.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's something we'll find out in 2 weeks' time. Hey, how's the project going? It's broke.
It's broken.
Doesn't work
Everything's
anymore.
broken.
And then here's the actual attack. So it checks.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that's something we'll find out in 2 weeks' time. Hey, how's the project going? Broke.
It's broken.
Doesn't work
Everything's
anymore.
broken.
And then here's the actual attack. So it checks if the boss is telegraphing, so if it's doing an animation currently.
Oh, man.
And then it's checking that list of checks to see if it is attacking, so it can't spam attacks. And if it isn't, it will do a whole bunch of math and checks to see which kind of attack it should do. And then once it's figured out what kind of attack it should do and what its settings are, it will finally create a warning, and then a delay, and then it'll actually create the attack, which will summon something like this.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really exciting to see in a few weeks' time all the different attacks you'll have laid out.
Yeah.
And maybe see
It'd be good to do a little demo or something, maybe.
I think that is roughly all the time we have for this week, though.
Okie doke.
So it's been great seeing what you have to offer this
Yeah.
week. It'll be very exciting to see what you have in 2 weeks' time.
If we've got anything.
Some more fun attacks. I don't know, maybe a raindrop animation that doesn't have a white background.
Maybe. Yeah, thank you for having
Excited
us.
to see you in a few weeks. But if everyone stays tuned, we'll take a short 5-minute break and then we'll be back with a different team. Brand new team to you. This is team, your game is the Withering Voyage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys start, just give me a brief synopsis. What is this game?
Okay, carry on.
Yeah.
It's a top-down boat game where essentially you play as a plague doctor, and you have to try and save all the patients before they die. But in the meantime, all the patients are slowly getting corrupted by an eldritch horror that wants to take over and keeps on changing recipes for the potions. And yeah, that's.
Okay. So where did how did initial brainstorms come about for this game then?
We more just put down all our diversifiers and then just list our ideas.
Yeah.
And we had the idea of a doctor in a plague, and then we combined with a boat.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were like we were just kind of like I don't know, we just kind of like as soon as this idea came to it was just like written down as just a sort of vague thing. We immediately like, yeah, this is great. We need to keep. We need
Yeah,
to
we
keep
did.
Yeah.
Originally it was supposed to be more story based, but since we didn't have a writer at the time, we went to a more arcadey style.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of going back to story because now we're a writer.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were.
we had a new person come into our TV's narrative, so we're having to backtrack a little bit on our more arcadey style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too, yeah.
So how much different then is the game scoped out to be from what you originally had planned?
It's not really it's the same mechanics, it's just
Yeah.
tweaking them slightly to fit more of a narrative.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot more dialogue to get to know the patients.
Yeah.
They won't be randomised, they will be unique.
And so you reckon you can all fit this extra workload in and aim to get everything finished on time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can. We still have quite a couple weeks away.
Yeah, we've got like the main skeleton of the game, which is the most important thing and the longest thing to get done. So now it's just like a case of playing around with the pacing and adding extra things in and refining it.
So I suppose, how did it get from then? How did you decide? Okay, we've got this idea, this sort of general arcade style game that we want to make. how did then that start formulating into, okay, it's going to look like this, it's going to play like this, we're going to add this sort of feature? What was that general brainstorming like?
Well, originally, we were gonna go for like a 3D, like fully 3D game because, so we had to choose a diversifier, and we originally were gonna go for historical accuracy one, but then we changed it to fixed camera, so then we had to change the style a lot. I don't remember how how everything worked though. Do you remember?
As in, yeah, originally it was going to be first person, going to
Yeah.
patients and curing them. But since we're straying too far from being historical, we decided to choose fixed camera instead and go between ship levels. Since the camera doesn't actually move between the ship levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I suppose how's that been then trying to go? Obviously, you started historical. You've gone sort of far away from that. What's it been like, sort of? I guess developing that idea of inaccurate history and the sort of eldest route that you've gone down.
So it was pretty nice because you did not have to be historical.
Yeah.
We don't have to like constantly look up Wikipedia articles and stuff, try and figure out how like whether this specific thing is is accurate to 1352. We could just say it is and just leave it
Yeah,
there.
it's far less research. We can just throw things in and just be like, this is in it now.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
no
a bit more
questions
like
asked.
creative liberty to say, oh, this is
Yeah.
why is it like that, magic?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Pretty much,
visited
yeah.
it.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, also we can change it out with the boats because originally it was 1300s, but now we've changed it to 1500s.
Oh yeah, we did.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be accurate.
Yeah.
1300 votes are terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it's just the 1300 boats in the 1500s.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
1500 boat in the past. Why not?
Yeah.
So you're not really constraining yourself in that way of saying, okay, well, if it's like that, then it can't be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot more creative liberty to do whatever, really.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I suppose when you decided, okay, we're gonna have a fixed camera, how did you sort of think, what's the best way to tell this story then, and what's the best way to have it look with just a fixed camera?
Originally there was no story, but what we sort of thought was definitely doing a lot of interesting post-processing effects and lighting to like get an airy vibe. That's what we were going to do. I like also sound. I like good sound effects and sound design.
I heavily pushed for a 3D environment with 2D assets because I'm doing all the animation, all the art for the game. And doing 2D art is a lot easier to animate and to put in, and also if anything, like it just sort of like aids the style of being a little bit more like old-timey. And then we had one of our other teammates, Tom, who done like a visual prototype as well to get an idea of maybe how the game would look and feel before we even started working on like the builds.
Yeah, okay. So how has that been sort of for you as animating everything and creating some art? I know for a lot of teams it could be quite a struggle. There's a limited number of artists here, like within all the different groups. What's that sort of workload been like making everything?
It's a lot because like my course isn't actually art. I'm an animator, but because all the like assets and UI and patients are 2D, I then have to like draw them. I haven't gotten around to animating yet. But yeah, it's a lot. But you know, everyone has a very big workload, so.
You don't have many animations, just the
Yeah.
patients like reading around in pain and the doctor walking.
To be fair, most of the animations we have, once I've got like the prototype down,
Yeah.
like some like really rough animations, I can never find them. And
Yeah.
it's a lot
So it
easier.
sounds like you've got quite a lot of everything already nailed down and ready to go. It's all more polishing and refining. I suppose what's that been like for you guys, sort of reviewing your sprints and setting workloads for each other and just going through the process of actually getting work done each week?
I think we've all been pretty consistent with getting our work done each week, at least for the three of us. Like we don't really overload ourselves. We just set a goal that we can all achieve on time and then get done. And if we have any more, we can just take some from the backlog.
Yeah.
At least that's what I do.
Yeah. So yeah, you're all communicating well and
Yeah.
into the agile process and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
we have a lesson every Tuesday which we use for sprint meetings where we all sit down for a good 30-40 minutes and talk about where the game is what we all think about the game, what we think needs to be added or changed, and what we can potentially get done in that sprint, or what needs to be redone, or just things like that, which is quite nice.
So how does your team split up in terms of the different disciplines and backgrounds?
Well, we have 3 programmers, 3 designers, and 2 artists. One who does 3D and traditional art.
Yeah.
So, 2D
And then
art.
we have a narrative.
Narrative, yeah. So the programmers, we all just go off and just start implementing stuff that the designers give us. Like, I'm not sure how you guys communicate with each other.
With us, us designers, I'm more sort of level. I'm more sort of like UI design and audio design. That's something that I've specialised in with this. The other 2 designers from where share a lot of documents with each other. They kind of talk. I'm guessing they talk around with a lot of the programmers and try to implement stuff that gets done.
Yeah. You want to communicate with general.
Yeah,
game
I communicate.
concept.
Communicate with more of the artists, and because I'm mainly doing UI design and audio design.
So you've sort of like broken down into your core teams then, and sort of
Yeah.
doing your stuff together and then bringing it all together. Yeah.
It's very much a chain of communication of like going to different people, getting the work done, and then like sharing it to the team, and just sort of like doing everything like small groups and like individually before moving on to
Yeah.
getting it to the entire
So,
team.
yeah. So working in the program group, how's that been sort of collaborating with other programmers and all working on the same project together but differently, and then combining it all in GitHub and all that
We
stuff?
have had a lot of merge conflicts.
Oh, no.
We've accidentally edited the same script by accident about communicating. That was like at the start, and we've gotten a lot better at just communicating by saying, okay, do not edit these scripts.
Yeah, I'm working on this one. Don't work on it
No.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess what's that process like then when you go to merge and say, oh, that's not what it's supposed to be. That's changed. Oh, did you change it? Oh no.
Have to go in manually to the code and just get it back and just basically copy and paste each of its parts together into the main parts. Yeah.
That seems like the most common answer to that question.
Yes.
Yeah, just stitch it together and pray.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it works, don't touch it.
So is that similar for you when it comes to like sort of designing the animations and stuff like that?
Kind of. To be fair, I get quite a bit of like creative and artistic freedom with it because I'm the only one who draws. So it's very much Sam will like give me a design, and I'll just like throw a bunch of sketches in, or I'll like come up with something and then sketch out and then get feedback and just.
Yeah.
Because it's just me. It's a lot easier. The only like I'll ask the team for feedback and then I'll just keep doing like small changes and iterations until we've got something we all like. But most of the time visually, like for like 2D art, it's mostly just me coming up with stuff.
So you've done most of the general artwork of the game then?
Yeah, I don't do all the 3D modelling is done by the other artists, but I don't know all the drawings and all the concepts.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of content that is very good, and we'll probably show some of that off in a moment. But it's a lot. It seems like a lot. It seems like you've done quite a lot for one bit. Like when I first saw this pitch and all these different sketches and art, it looked like you had a full team of people behind you doing that.
Yeah.
Are you
It's
okay?
just me.
Are you doing too much
It's
work?
a hostage situation.
Smile, you enjoy this.
They found an artist. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've just now got to animate them, which is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'll be fine.
I'll figure it out.
You've got a whole team of people, and then when it's ready, you get to say, "Hey, look, now it's your turn to mess with the thing I've made."
Because of the amount of workload, I've basically resigned to until because a lot of my work that I do is at the start and then towards the end of the game. There's less for me to do. I'm avoiding the engine until like touching the technical things
right.
until I have to.
Yeah.
Just need to.
I suppose that's what's your role as a designer, just to not touch any of the actual stuff and tell other people how to make a game. Hey, I have this idea.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
One of our designers has asked to basically implement a scroll wheel for navigating through the inventory. And I was thinking, yeah, I can get that done. It will be a pain.
Oh, I can do it.
It will be a pain. I mean, I mean, just using 1, 2, 3 on the keyboard would be better, it would be easier, but sure, I can do the scroll wheel.
Yeah, well, the designers think of the same thing.
Yes.
I don't know how to code a scroll wheel, but I know someone who can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose what has that been like for you? Sort of come out with like core design pillars and key aspects for the game to base your work around.
I've mainly been doing a lot of the UI design and the audio design. But for the UI design, what I do is I come up with a layout. Then I would come up with sort of layout of the UI. So I'm no artist myself. I just use Canva for a lot of my layouts. I just sort of like I create a layout for basic UI. So say like patient talking UI or something. Then I would give it to our artists, artists of the group, and Ope, and then just kind of like Ope, who would then create the assets for that, and then our programmers would go and sort of create them based on the sort of layout that I've made.
I think, do we want to get over to having a look at some of the stuff we've made?
Yeah.
Yeah, if one of you wants to go and sit over at that computer over there.
Who would like to?
I'm happy to.
If one of you does, and then put the headphones on there just next to it. So just run us through what do we have here at the moment?
For this one, this is sort of the. Was this from the alpha? I think. Was
Yes,
this from
the
Revolution?
alpha.
That's the alpha. Yeah, this is the alpha version of the patient dialogue. We've got a name system. Wait, how? We've got a name system programmed in. Wait, how have we done the name system, by the way?
What I've done is just first names, last names, pick 2 random, combine them together.
Fair enough.
That's
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I just want confirmation on that. Yeah, this has been. Yeah. This is just a generic sort of. This is just sort of like a screenshot of gameplay. It's got UI on the bottom. It's got an insanity meter in the top left.
Oh, okay, so run us through this insanity meter then. What does that do?
Basically, for our original designs, the more insane. Okay, your character will get sort of more insane over time. If I were in the situation this doctor would be just choking over patients, and all of a sudden this guy is growing a tentacle out of one arm or something, I think that would mess me up a little bit myself. But your insanity will go up depending on certain things.
Yeah, depending on your insanity, there's a more likelihood chance of a recipe in the recipe book changing and trying to trick you into creating a fake medicine.
Yeah.
And also the screen starts getting a little more distorted.
Yeah, there's like some visual changes as well. I think we're gonna like develop a bit more on what happens like as the insanity meter goes up to help like impact gameplay and game feel. But yeah.
So I suppose if you want to go back to the previous one really quickly.
Okay.
What was the sort of decision then to go with this like 2D narrative story, like telling it with these boxes and the characters?
I think that came from when we were originally planning on having more narrative-based game, and I think that inspiration was like Persona 5. We had the character sprites and then the dialogue for them, along with their model.
Yeah.
And also, we can get a better look at the patients because from that far away you can't actually see them, and they can actually see all the detail for their mutations.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking with
Yeah.
that for the UI. I was originally thinking when I was coming up with a layout for it. Because the sprite, exactly what Theo was saying, the patients would be a bit small, so I thought it would be a cool way to sort of show them
You can
up
see
close
the
and just sort of
development
see how they've changed over time and see how mutated they would eventually get.
I just close it and open something else.
Okay. With
May open on the other screen, just to warn you.
this is the actual game. We've got the whole game up. All right. So.
Or maybe the sound hasn't been mixed, so maybe quite loud.
Yeah, maybe a little bit loud. Just as a warning, just a warning for any viewers.
So recipes. Okay.
So you got a patient just in that bed over
So
here.
you're this box here.
Yeah, on this box. We haven't come up with animations.
Yeah,
for
that's
just use your baby imagination here. So Jake Tommen here, he has boils and he needs to salve.
I have boils. tiny.
Bit time for acting.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's still in early development.
Yeah.
And this guy needs a salve of cotton veneer. I may have mispronounced that horribly. Bear with me.
We'll get our narrative.
You'll get our
person
narrative
to
person
make a
to sort that out
phonetics.
So what was that timer you had on in there?
The timer is how long this patient has left to live.
Okay.
When that reaches zero, they are dead. Is this the correct thing to do? I'm
Yeah.
trying.
It's the white box.
Oh,
The
sorry about that.
extras one.
So if we,
It's a Q and E to move
Oh,
between
yeah.
the two books.
so yeah, the salve here. You need rose petals, charcoal, and alcohol. So for we're knowing that, I need to go and find those specifically.
I think
So-
the charcoal's downstairs.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, chocolate is downstairs, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, I did not go downstairs. I feel like a game reviewer right now.
Yeah.
So more like it's closer to high, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, since it's dark and rainy outside, so yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Are you pressing the correct buttons to interact? It's
Yeah,
mouse
probably.
click.
Oh my
It's
god.
mouse-
I do feel like a game reviewer right now.
There we go.
It's not E anymore.
It's
Sam,
not E
do
anymore.
you know how to play video
Perhaps
games?
some kind
Dude,
of-
I'd be real with you. I am not using that. I do not think this is the latest build of the game. Okay, I got chocolate. Let's go.
Tutorial or
Yeah,
you know,
I feel like that guy. I felt like that one guy played Cuphead that one
Press
time.
P, you get the tutorial, you get the...
Yeah. Damn.
Okay.
Damn.
That's controller support as well.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's been designed for controller.
Yeah,
It was a
that's,
separate
that's
area.
what I'm used to when I tested this game. Oh, Jake Tomlin's looking very good. I need to sort that
Yeah,
out.
you did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's not what I mean.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
Oh, that's how you drop items.
I was about to say what happens when you run out of space.
Originally, you just ran out of space, and that was it.
Yeah,
that was-
you're screwed.
Yeah. That's something that we needed to be in front of because we got line.
Alcohol.
God, the patients are racking up.
Yeah, they're wrapping up.
Yeah,
I
we
am.
definitely need to-
I am not a very. I feel like if I were accepted into any medical profession, I feel like I would immediately be fired.
One thing we need to do in playtesting is that we need to give them more time.
Yeah.
Everyone's decided that we're gonna
Right.
limit, we're
Got
gonna
the
have like
south.
3 patients, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I
Instead
think
of having
we have
5.
the salve.
Okay.
Um,
we have what my guy needs.
Yeah.
Let's see, let's
I'm
hope this
focusing on my
doesn't
boy
break.
Jake over here.
This is-
Oh, he's a minus 30. Yeah, I think he's. Well, he lives. It's a miracle. It's a medical miracle.
Alright. So
That's a bit concerning.
that's the sort of general gameplay loop.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
game.
Okay, cool, yeah.
It needs like this refining and stuff.
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
needs to happen.
we do need to refine it, but that's basically what the gameplay loop is at the moment.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, I can't wait to see. Obviously, in 2 weeks' time when you come back, it'll be great
Yeah.
to see how that's improved. But I think for now, that's actually really. It's great that you've got something to actually show us this early into the
Yeah.
development process. I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully by then we'll have more unique NPC dialogue.
And hopefully then I'll be a little bit better at this game.
You know what, Sam? I'm glad you're studying game design and not medicine.
Yep.
Because
Yeah,
I
I would not make a good doctor. I have found.
Oh, it's been like 5 hours. The
Yeah,
doctor's like,
the patient's already dead. He was dead when I got here. Anyway,
But yeah, I think that's.
Ooh,
Do you want
I
to just
think I
come
might.
and sit back down real quick?
Yes, I will just do that.
Okay. But no, that's actually a really good build for right now. Yeah, again, just the fact that you have something showable and playable.
Yeah.
You're the first team so far that has had anything to play for, so I think it'd be really cool to see in a few months' time when you can come back and look at this week 1. It looks like this, and it's gonna look like whatever
Yeah,
it
I
looks
mean,
like.
it always does in this.
Yeah, it'll be great to see how you've all improved, and it sounds like you've all got a really good game, and it's, you're all very excited about it, and we're all very excited to see what will come of it in the next few weeks. But I think that for now that's all we have time for. So
Okay.
I guess thank you all so much for joining me,
Many
and
times.
and thanks to everyone at home for tuning in. If you tune in next week, we'll have 2 more amazing teams. Who knows what they're making? I don't actually know what they're making. Sam probably knows. But we'll find out what they're making next week, and then you guys will come back, so we get to see how these guys have improved in 2 weeks' time. But for now, I think that's everything. So that's thank you for watching, and goodbye.